Hi guys, today I will be sharing Banoffee Pie. Before I start, I just wanna make a point that there are other ways to do Banoffee Pie, and this is just one way of making it. So for the sweet plant pastry, we need half a teaspoon of vanilla, half a teaspoon of salt, 2 tablespoons of granulated sugar. I use 3.5 tablespoons of cold water, 1 cup of plain flour, 2 egg yolks, and 60 grams of cold butter that is cut into cubes, small cubes, just like this. Rub the butter into the flour. Just make sure that when you're rubbing the butter, your hand doesn't stay long in the flour and butter because the warmth of your hand will melt the butter. You could use a food processor or a pastry blender or a fork to do this process. I just find it easy using my hands. So we're gonna continue rubbing the butter and the flour until it resembles into a wet sand. Just like this. Now we can add the sugar and the salt. Give it a quick mix. Now we can add the vanilla and the egg yolks. Mix it again. And now we can gradually add the cold water. Add a tablespoon of cold water, one at a time. You have to be careful in adding the water because if you add too much, the dough will be very sticky. Although this dough or this pastry is really sticky because it's a flan based. All in all, I added about 3.5 tablespoons of cold water. So continue kneading the dough until it forms into a ball. Just like this. Now we're gonna let this rest in the fridge for about 30 minutes. Cover it with cling wrap and flatten it into a disc for easy rolling later. After 30 minutes, we're ready to roll the pastry. So I have parchment paper at the bottom and then I'm gonna put the parchment paper on the top as well. We have to work really quickly doing this because, again, like I tell you, this dough is quite sticky. Roll the dough until it fits your tart pan. I use a 10-inch tart pan. So measure it. And then I'm just gonna remove the parchment paper on the top and flip the pastry into the tart pan. At this point, if you want to put this in the fridge, you can, so it's easy to release the parchment paper from the dough, but I live on the edge, so I'm doing this. It's okay if it rips because you can easily patch this up. So just fix the pastry or the dough. If you find that there's a rip sides, just rip up some excess pastry and patch it up. If you find that there is a thin edges, you can patch it up or add a little bit more of the pastry on the side just to strengthen it up, just like so. And then using a fork, prick some holes. Now, after this, we will put this back in the fridge for at least 10 minutes, just for the butter to harden up again. Heat your oven as well at 190 degrees Celsius. After 10 minutes, we're ready to blind bake the tart shell. So I'm putting parchment paper and then I'm adding the ceramic beads. If you don't have ceramic beads, you can use rice or you could use dried beans. So we're gonna blind bake this for 10 minutes, and then after 10 minutes we're gonna remove the parchment paper and the blind beads, and then we're gonna put this back in the oven for another 15 minutes or until the edges and the middle is a little bit brown or golden brown, just like this. And now this is ready. We're gonna set this aside to cool down. And then I'll just show you what it looks like. Now you could use this for any kind of tarts that you want to do. Now we're gonna move on to the filling. Now we're gonna need 1 can of dulce de leche. If you wanna know how to make this, I'll put the link below. I made this in my dulce de leche cake. I'll put the link below. We need also 1.5 can of cream. I use 3 bananas, but you can see here there's only 2. And then 1/3 cup of sifted icing sugar. First thing we need to do is to combine the cream and the icing sugar. Now we're gonna beat this until we reach stiff peak stage, just like so. We will set this aside and we're gonna cut the bananas. Again, I use 3 bananas because my bananas are quite small. And now we are ready to assemble the banoffee pie. Put about half of the dulce de leche into the tart shell because we're gonna layer this. But you can just do 1 layer, but I'd like to do 2 layers. So just spread it evenly, just like this. And now we can add banana, covering the dulce de leche. Now we're gonna add the other half of the dulce de leche. And now we're gonna spread it again to cover up the bananas and to cover up the whole tart shell. Just like so. And now we're gonna add another layer of bananas. Now we're gonna pipe in the cream that we have. I'm using Star Tip 1M. to pipe the cream. You don't have to do this. You can just spread the whipping cream on top. And then the next step is just optional. I'm just shaving chocolate on top. And this is the finished product. I hope you give them a try. It's quite fiddly to make, but it's worth it. And then just to show you what it looks like when you cut it, it's advisable that once you cut this, if you could finish it like within that day, it would be good, because the longer the dulce de leche sits, it tends to get runny. So if you could finish it within that day of serving, that would be ideal. But this could last for 3 days. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again next week. Bye!